A rescue operation is underway to find the 5 people on board a missing submersible used to allow people to view the wreckage of the Titanic. The vessel lost contact with its crew after 1 hour and 45 minutes off the coast of Canada.
The submersible craft, called Titan, was built to push the limits, offering wealthy adventurers the chance to see a remarkable sight, the wreck of the RMS Titanic. The latest mission departed in the early hours of Sunday, beginning the 4,000-meter descent to the ocean floor. An hour and 45 minutes into the voyage, however, crew members on the surface lost contact with Titan. It's understood that among 5 people on board is a British man called Hamish Harding. This is his Instagram post from last week. He said they'd had an opening in the weather and they were going to attempt a dive. A Twitter post then spoke of a successful launch after their 4 a.m. start. Paul-Henri Nargeolet, a French submersible pilot, is also thought to be on board, along with Stockton Rush, the founder of the company involved. He spoke to Sky News earlier this year.
That's what I love about shipwrecks. They are artificial reefs and they get populated quite quickly. I think most people are surprised by it, but it's an amazing thing that happens.
The wreck of the Titanic sits nearly 2.5 miles below the surface of the North Atlantic, some 400 miles off the coast of Newfoundland in Canada. A major search and rescue operation is now underway with US and Canadian aircraft and Coast Guard vessels converging on the area. The US Coast Guard says Titan can sustain human life for around 96 hours, and in a press conference, a commander spoke of a race against time.
In terms of the hours, we understood that was 96 hours of rescue or emergency capability from the operator, and so we anticipate that there's somewhere between 70 to the full 96 hours available at this point.
In a statement, the owner of the submarine, called Ocean Gate, said, "Our entire focus is on the crew members in the submersible and their families. We are deeply thankful for the extensive assistance we have received from several government agencies and deep-sea companies in our efforts to re-establish contact with the submersible." The Coast Guard speaks of a challenging search in a remote area. As time evaporates, so does the prospect of hope. John Sparks, Sky News, St John's, Newfoundland.
For more on this, let's bring in retired Navy Commodore Peter Scott. Peter, a submariner who served for more than 30 years in the Navy on 10 different subs. Thanks so much for your time. It sounds ominous. What's your sense of things right now as those authorities try and search for the crew?
Yeah, it does sound ominous, Kieran, and as the report just pointed out, time is absolutely of the essence in any incident such as this. I think they're probably halfway through the estimated survivable time of the atmosphere on board that submersible. So definitely a race against time. Clearly the US and Canadian forces are working to get the right support assets there to firstly locate and identify the submersible before they've got any opportunity probably to conduct any sort of a rescue or recovery.
Yeah, indeed. And what we're talking about with these submersibles, nothing like the sort of capability that our submariners would be on. How would you compare what we're talking about in this particular instance?
Yeah, very different craft, and I think because of that, some pretty limited options to look at. Most of my experience with the Royal Australian Navy has been on, large modern submarines. They are designed for and equipped to support the rescue of survivors should a submarine be disabled in certain circumstances. And of course, not every circumstance is survivable. But our submariners are trained to be able to, in the right circumstances, escape from a submarine down to a certain depth of about 180 metres. And we carry capabilities. We have a deep submergence rescue vehicle which can descend down to a disabled submarine down to about 500 or 600 metres and mate with one of our boats and enable submariners or survivors to return to the surface in that vessel. Now, this submersible is not designed or built with any of those inherent characteristics, and clearly the passengers are not trained for that sort of circumstance.
Yeah, it seems such a risky proposition, this, and I've got to say I wasn't even aware of this submersible tourism, or, going to inspect the Titanic, for example, that this even existed. Is it, from your understanding, is this sort of thing a popular trend?
I don't know if it's a trend. I understand that this vessel has conducted a number of these voyages to date, 8, 9, 10 of these voyages successfully. It's certainly not something personally that I would venture to that depth for, but obviously it's meaningful enough to some people that they would carry that risk and venture to. They are extreme depths, anything goes wrong at that sort of depth and you can find yourself in real trouble very quickly. Well, I think submersibles have for quite some time been used in more limited circumstances, like for reef tourism and so on. But this is really a level beyond. Yeah,
it really is extreme tourism. You, in your career, had various close shaves. Can you just reflect on that for our viewers this afternoon as we consider this particular crisis off the coast of the US and Canada for this crew? But you over your 3 decades, had some close shaves too.
Yeah, that'd be fair to say. I spent a lot of time deployed and dived in submarines, and of course we train and prepare our crews for all sorts of difficulties, such as fires or floods, and occasionally they come to bear. So one incident I recall quite clearly was we suffered a flood at our deep diving depth, so we were down pretty much as deep as you'd routinely like to go, and suffered a major flood. Now, it was the depth of redundancy and the capability designed into that submarine, combined with the exceptional training and teamwork of the crew, that enabled us to recover from that situation. And certainly, we don't go to sea in a submarine unless we're really confident that we'll be able to deal with those situations as and when they arise.
Retired Navy Commodore Peter Scott, great to get your insights. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Karen.